It's just past 6 p.m. on April 5th, 2018, an ordinary Thursday in Pittsburgh. Somewhere in a second-floor apartment in East Hills, a 23-year-old mother walks into her daughter's bedroom to check on a nap that's gone on a little too long. She's not worried. Why would she be? The baby had a good day, ate, played, fell asleep on the couch next to her. She reaches for the light switch, and that's the moment her entire life splits in two, before this second and after it. Because in the crib, 17-month-old Charlotte Napper-Talley isn't moving. She isn't breathing, and beside her, sitting on the sheets like it's nothing at all, is a pink sippy cup.
Where did she fall asleep in her bedroom?
She came and got up on the couch with me.
Mm-hmm. You guys took a nap?
We barely fell asleep. By the time I was actually, dozing off, Miss Vernon was knocking at the door.
That cup is about to become the most important object in a homicide investigation, and the woman who just found her daughter is about to become the prime suspect. This is the case of the sippy cup that killed a toddler with enough fentanyl to drop 2 full-grown horses. Prosecutors would eventually stand in front of a jury and argue this mother poisoned her own child just to get some peace and quiet. And over the next half hour, you're going to hear the actual interrogation, piece by piece, where a detective slowly, patiently, corners a mother who cannot explain the one thing that matters most. How did the fentanyl get in that cup? Stick with me on this one. Subscribe now, because this case has more twists than almost anything I've covered, and I don't want you to miss where it goes. Let's rewind 6 hours before the incident. Jhenea Pratt is a young mom juggling more than most 23-year-olds ever have to. She's taking community college classes, she's raising a toddler mostly on her own, and she's got a boyfriend, Albert Williams, who steps in to help, including that morning when he picks Charlotte up so Jhenea can get to class. It's a normal day. Albert makes the baby fish sticks and fries. At some point, Albert offers Charlotte her sippy cup, the pink one, but she turns her nose up at it, doesn't want it. So it gets left behind when Albert brings her to pick Jhenea up from school. Picture it. A toddler, cranky, tired, being shuttled between a school pickup and an apartment, a sippy cup rattling around, half forgotten, in the back seat or the diaper bag. Nobody in this story thinks that cup matters yet. Back at the apartment, the three of them settle in. Charlotte climbs up on the couch with her mom. They doze off together, the kind of accidental afternoon nap every parent knows. Jhenea says she's barely drifting off when there's a knock at the door. A social worker, there for a scheduled visit. Jhenea gets up, carries Charlotte into the bedroom, and puts her down to sleep. The social worker visits, then leaves. And here's where the story starts to get complicated, because according to Jhenea's own statement to police, once Charlotte was down for her nap, Jhenea smoked marijuana, and it was roughly an hour later that she went back in to check on her. That hour matters, because it's the single window investigators would spend the next year and a half trying to account for, minute by minute. And somewhere in that quiet apartment, that pink sippy cup ends up back in Charlotte's crib. Nobody has any reason to think anything is wrong, right up until the moment nothing is ever the same again. Here's Jhenea, in her own words, walking a detective through the very beginning of this timeline.
Okay, and at that time you put her in her bedroom or left her on the couch?
At this time, I had picked her up because she was laying with me on the couch. I'm not sure if she was on top of me or beside me at that point.
Yeah.
I picked her up and I laid her on the couch, and I opened the door and I came to get her off the couch and I put her in her bed.
Okay.
Simple enough so far, but watch what happens the moment the questions shift from the nap to the cup.
Did she eat or drink anything?
My boyfriend told me he made fish sticks and I want to say like French fries or something.
Okay. Now, that was earlier in the day when you guys got back. Did she eat or drink anything?
No, she didn't eat or drink anything. She had left her. He said she didn't want her sippy cup before they walked out the door to come and get me. So he left the sippy cup there.
Which sippy cup was that?
To my knowledge, it should have been the pink one.
The pink sippy cup?
Mm-hmm.
And where was that located?
I'm not even sure. I wasn't there.
Did he have that or did she have it?
It was left.
It was left there.
She didn't want it on the way out the door.
Okay. When you say on the way out the door, you mean?
When they left to come and get me from school.
Okay, when you came back, that pink sippy cup, do you remember
I
where it
didn't even
was?
see the sippy cup.
Did you give her the sippy cup at all?
I didn't see the sippy cup.
Okay.
Listen to how carefully she's tracking that cup. Not the nap, not the babysitter. The cup. Where it was, who had it, whether it went out the door and came back. That's not nothing. Detectives are trained to notice when a suspect fixates on a small, seemingly irrelevant detail while staying vague on everything else. It's called verbal padding, burying the one detail that actually matters under a pile of details that don't. It doesn't prove she's guilty. But it's exactly the kind of thing that makes an experienced investigator lean forward and start paying very close attention. And there's something else worth knowing here that didn't come out in this interview alone. Across multiple conversations with police and with a social worker, Jhenea's story about that cup would shift. Sometimes she said Albert gave it to Charlotte. Other times, she said she gave it to her herself. At one point, she reportedly told investigators she thought the red liquid inside might have been some kind of alcoholic drink. Not fentanyl, not anything sinister, just alcohol of unknown origin. 3 different explanations. For the same cup. That's the kind of inconsistency that doesn't just raise an eyebrow with detectives. It's the kind of thing a prosecutor builds an entire case around. Now here's where it gets messy. Because when the detective asks Jhenea point blank whether she put anything in that sippy cup, she doesn't just say no. She starts explaining. There was a red liquid in the cup. It was a juice drink, a brand called Huggies. She'd tried giving Charlotte a different drink earlier that day, but the toddler had a fit and refused it. So, she says, Albert must have swapped it out later and given her something else instead. It's a plausible story. It's also the kind of story that only makes sense if you already know something's wrong and you're trying to get ahead of it.
Do you remember it being in her bedroom? That sippy cup?
I think I might have found the sippy cup on the way to... I'm not sure. I just remember, I believe, putting the sippy cup in her bed with her.
Okay. Did you put anything in the sippy cup?
No, there was a red liquid in it, and I know we had Huggies.
Yeah, I remember seeing some Huggies in there.
To be more specific, Happy Drink Huggies.
Is that what they're called?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The detective shows her a photo, confirms it's the same cup, and then asks her to walk through, one more time, exactly when that liquid went in.
When you were living, I'm just going to show you the picture. This is this the same sippy cup you're thinking of?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you have put liquid in there earlier in the day?
Yes.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was that the same sippy cup that you put the liquid in? Was it before you went to school, when you got home from school, or?
I put a different juice drink in there, and she had a complete fit, and she didn't drink it.
Okay.
So how the red liquid got in, he changed her sippy cup when he fed her.
Okay.
He said she drank a little bit and threw it.
Okay. Out of that sippy cup.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in the room, Jhenea still thinks she's explaining a tragic accident. She has no idea that the next thing out of the detective's mouth is going to detonate everything she thinks she knows about her daughter's death. Up until this second, Jhenea believes what she was told at the hospital: hypoxic cardiac arrest, a medical term, something that sounds like it just happens. Nobody's told her the lab results are back. Nobody's told her what they found. And then the detective stops circling and just says it.
Well, I'm just gonna be blunt to you. Your child died from fentanyl poisoning.
So why did CYF tell me hypoxic cardiac arrest?
There weren't lab results then. So I'm going to explain this to you, okay? In that sippy cup was fentanyl. In her blood was fentanyl. We just got these results back. It's the same type of fentanyl that people are overdosing every day in Pittsburgh and dying from. Same exact type. So I need to know how the fentanyl got in the sippy cup. Because right now it's not an accident.
Sit with what just happened in that room. For weeks, Jhenea had a version of events she could live with. A scary, sudden, unexplainable medical event, cardiac arrest, something that just happens to babies sometimes, as horrifying as that is. That story is gone now, and what replaces it is so much worse.
Right, so scientifically, it's impossible for your daughter to put fentanyl in a sippy cup, okay? Physically, it's impossible for her to do. Scientifically, that's another story, but right now, that's how she died. It wasn't a heart attack. It wasn't any other reason other than she overdosed on fentanyl, which is the same fentanyl that people in the streets are dying on every single day.
And that's when the detective asks the one question this entire case will hinge on for the next year and a half.
How'd the fentanyl get in the sippy cup, Jhenea?
Just straight fentanyl?
Yeah.
So what is it, like a liquid,
I'm not a scientist. It comes in a liquid form, it comes in a powder form. I'm not exactly sure, but what I am sure of is that fentanyl was put in a sippy cup and there was liquid mixed into it and it was given to Charlotte, and that's how she died. So I need to know how that got in there.
I have no knowledge to how fentanyl got in my daughter's sippy cup.
Because you realize right now this investigation is taking a whole different turn.
Yeah, clearly.
And when someone gives someone something and they die from it, it's a homicide. She was poisoned intentionally.
Sit with that for a second. In the space of about 90 seconds, this stops being a story about a baby who mysteriously stopped breathing and becomes a story about a baby who was poisoned intentionally with the same drug currently killing addicts in the streets of Pittsburgh every single day. And Jhenea's answer is the one that's going to define the next year and a half of her life. I have no knowledge how it got in my daughter's sippy cup. What we know now, and what Jhenea couldn't have known in that room, is that District Attorney Steven Zappala had already been building toward this moment for weeks. Just days after Charlotte's death, Zappala told a local news station something chilling. If you put fentanyl in play, and somebody dies, I want to see you go to jail. He wasn't talking in hypotheticals. He meant Jhenea. So in that interrogation room, she reaches for something else. Something almost too small to hold the weight of what just happened. Before we go further, I want to know what you'd have done in that room. If you're the detective, and the first explanation you get for lethal fentanyl in a baby's sippy cup is, maybe it's a manufacturing issue with the juice, does that read as an innocent guess? Or a mother scrambling? Tell me in the comments. The detective doesn't just accept the juice theory and move on, he tested it. There's no fentanyl in the Huggies drink. None. Which means the one explanation Jhenea offered is gone. In real time, in front of her. So now the questions get sharper, faster, more personal.
I don't know anything about fentanyl.
Did you ever put anything in her sippy cup other than Huggy juice?
She's drank water. She's drank milk. She's drank Kool-Aid. Liquids.
Then the detective tries something different, normalizing it, almost inviting her to admit to something smaller.
Liquids.
But have you ever put anything in there?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Other than...
I mean, because some parents will give their kids a little bit of, Benadryl or something like that. So they can...
No, that doesn't go in a sippy cup because it's supposed to be measured out, and Benadryl's not supposed to be drank. Tylenol's not supposed to be drank over a specific amount of hours. It's supposed to be one dose, and that's it.
Right, I agree with you. But parents...
I'm not one of those people
Okay.
or parents.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. And it wouldn't be the first time, okay? I'm just asking. But we have a problem right now. Is that safe to say that there's a problem? I mean, I have to figure out how this got in there because your baby can't tell me.
It's a classic interrogation technique. Give the suspect a smaller, more forgivable version of the truth to reach for. A little Benadryl in a sippy cup to help a fussy toddler sleep happens more than most parents would ever admit. If Jhenea had taken that off-ramp, it would have been a very different case. She doesn't take it. She holds the line. She's never put anything in that cup, ever. So the detective moves further into her home life. Is anyone in that apartment using heroin? Does she use it? Does Albert?
Was anyone in your house that uses heroin?
I wouldn't know what people's personal drugs they use.
But to your knowledge,
No.
did you have any people in your house that use heroin? Do you use heroin?
No.
Does your boyfriend use heroin?
No.
Other than smoking weed, do you do any other drugs?
No.
Jhenea denies heroin use for everyone in the apartment. She doesn't deny the marijuana, and according to her own statement elsewhere in this investigation, that's the detail prosecutors would eventually build their entire theory of the case around, that Charlotte was put down to sleep, sedated with fentanyl, specifically so Jhenea could smoke in peace without a toddler underfoot. And then the detective drops the number that's going to end up in headlines across the country.
I really want to know why your baby had that large amount of fentanyl in her.
I would too.
I mean, it was enough to kill a very large animal.
There's no way my daughter could have got into any type of fentanyl.
I agree with you. I agree. I think someone, just like a bartender, mixes up a drink, put it in that sippy cup. It's the only possible way it could have got in there.
Is there any more questions, officer, detective?
Do you agree with me?
I'm not agreeing because who would do that to a child?
That's a
There's
really
possible way any
messed
of
up
that
person. Really messed up person would do that.
There's no possible way.
The detective actually agrees with her, and then explains exactly how he thinks it happened.
Well, got in there somehow, and the amount of fentanyl she had could have killed probably 2 horses that was in her system.
Any more questions?
No.
Am I under arrest?
No.
Can I go?
Sure.
2 horses, not a trace, not a stray pill a toddler could have stumbled onto crawling around the apartment, an amount that guarantees death every single time. That interrogation ends with no arrest. Jhenea walks out of that room a free woman, for now. It would take almost a year and a half, an arrest in August 2018, months in custody without bail, before Jhenea Pratt finally stood trial in June 2019. By the time charges were filed, the story had already made national headlines, and DA Steven Zappala had made his position public well before any jury was seated. He'd made the decision to charge her with criminal homicide, not Pennsylvania's more specific drug delivery resulting in death statute, which the county had used 11 times that same year for cases involving someone directly handing over drugs. That choice mattered. Some legal experts saw it as a sign that even prosecutors weren't entirely sure this was intentional. Criminal homicide is a broader, more flexible charge, and the prosecution didn't paint this as an accident. Assistant DA Diana Page told the jury Jhenea wanted to sit back, relax, and smoke marijuana, and that her own daughter was, in her words, getting in the way of her enjoying her pastime. Think about the accusation buried in that sentence. Not negligence, not a mistake, a calculated decision to sedate a child, permanently, for convenience. Her defense attorney, Brandon Herring, fought back the only way he could, by pointing at the one person in this story who was never charged with anything, Albert Williams, the boyfriend who admitted he'd given Charlotte a sippy cup earlier that same day. Herring argued there was no fingerprint, no confession, nothing physically tying Jhenea's hands to that fentanyl. Herring told reporters his client has always maintained that she would never intentionally hurt Charlotte. Outside the courtroom, this case had already become part of a much bigger legal conversation. Leo Beletsky, a law professor at Northeastern University, pointed out that prosecutors across the country were increasingly charging parents criminally after accidental-looking overdose deaths of their own children, and warned that doing so can actually backfire by making drug-using parents afraid to call 911 in the first place when something goes wrong. The jury deliberated for 2 days. They came back with a verdict that satisfied almost no one. Not guilty of first-degree murder, not guilty of third-degree murder, guilty of involuntary manslaughter, guilty of endangering the welfare of a child. Reporters in the courtroom noted that Jhenea showed no visible reaction when the verdict was read. 3 months later, the judge handed down the maximum possible sentence for those charges, 5 to 10 years, reportedly calling her conduct callous. Albert Williams was never charged. This wasn't quite the end of the story. A year after her sentencing, in September 2020, Jhenea's legal team took her case to the Superior Court of Pennsylvania, appealing the manslaughter conviction. The court denied it. The conviction stood. To this day, no one outside that apartment on the day Charlotte died has ever produced hard, direct proof, a confession, a fingerprint, an eyewitness, of whose hands actually put fentanyl into that pink sippy cup. A jury decided Jhenea Pratt was responsible for her daughter's death. They did not decide she meant to kill her. Two very different things, technically speaking, and yet she's serving the same sentence either way. Somewhere between an overdose epidemic tearing through Pittsburgh streets and a mother who told at least 3 different versions of the same story under pressure, a 17-month-old girl never got the chance to grow up. Cases like this one aren't isolated. Legal experts who followed this trial pointed to a growing, unsettling pattern. Parents and caregivers being charged with homicide and accidental-looking overdose deaths, even when there's no solid proof of intent at all. Whatever you believe happened in that apartment, this case became part of a much bigger conversation about how far the law should go when a child dies and fentanyl is somehow involved. If cases like this keep you up thinking the way they keep me up thinking, subscribe to Crime Continent, because we break down a real interrogation like this one every single day. And if there's a case you want me to dig into next, put it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I pick the next video from what you give me. My name is Olivia, and this is Crime Continent.